Am I the a-hole for not supporting girlfriend's sister? Original post. Some info. I have been with my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. She loves her sister a ton, which is a good thing as I believe supporting and helping your siblings, as long as it doesn't ruin your own life. You will understand why I say this later on. We just put down a mortgage on a house in the suburbs of a large city. I, 28 male, work in tech as a software developer with a master's degree in computer science. I make quite a lot of money, so money issues never arose, while girlfriend doesn't work and do the chores/cooking in the house. Both agreed on this. I was gonna propose to girlfriend next year, but a problem arose about 2 years ago. For the last 2 years, probably longer, girlfriend has been sending money to her younger sister we'll call Emily. Emily got pregnant at 20 years old. She works as a waitress, while the father is bouncing from job to job. Emily says that he is very lazy. He will disappear hours at a time without telling Emily where he's going or what he's doing. Emily has asked my girlfriend on several occasions for money, and my girlfriend, being the nice and sweet person she is, says yes all the time. It started off as paying for diapers, no problem. Then baby clothes, which also no problem. Then daycare, which I just brushed off. I talked with girlfriend saying we can't always pay for everything, and that helping out for a couple things is okay, but not everything. Girlfriend reassured me and said that it would be stopping soon once they get their feet picked up, which is fine. Then one day I hired a financial planner, and the next day I get an email saying my account has sent approximately $50,000 for the last 10 months and have now just around $20,000 sitting in my account. I talked with my girlfriend, and she apologizes and says she knew that I wouldn't want to keep sending her sister money and how she just cares about her sister. We've been paying for everything: insurance, rent, car payment, daycare, clothing for all three, dinners, dates, going out expenses, and it is partly my fault because I never checked my bank account. My girlfriend shows me text messages between her and Emily saying she needs the money. I then noticed a pattern where Emily would say, "Hey, can you send me dollars? I don't have money for blank." And of course, girlfriend says yes. I brush it off, and girlfriend says she won't send any more. Then the next day, girlfriend sends her $1,000 because they needed car repairs. I talk with my girlfriend and we get into an argument where she says she will always help her sister no matter what. And I understand, to an extent. And we argue trying to understand each other's point of view. As stated, before we had $20,000, and now we're down to $19,000. And then how about the next time? And the next time after that, on top of our own expenses? Girlfriend then decided that she needs some time alone, and that she will be at her mother's for the time being. And now I'm all alone in the house I thought I would live with the girl of my dreams. Am I the a-hole for arguing with my girlfriend, for caring about her sister too much? Now for the top comments/advice before reading the updates. Info: how does your girlfriend have access to your account? We share the same account. Decided it'd be best as she went to buy groceries, house items, etc. Cut her off. I'd also rethink the relationship, to be honest. She basically stole from you. Not the a-hole. Separate your bank accounts. Do not let her use your money for her sister. That sister is gonna be a leech for your entire life. So yes, obviously Emily comes packaged with your girlfriend. Better reconsider your entire relationship, because I have a feeling that Emily ain't gonna let the golden goose go. I hope the house isn't under joint names, and that you can finance the mortgage on your own. Time to look at the big picture. Financial planning. Money comes in, money's used for X, Y, and Z. Some fun money, some savings. Your girlfriend can send as much money as she wants to her sister, as long as it comes from her fun money. She doesn't get to raid your savings. If you cannot trust her, you also don't want to marry her. Not the a-hole. Just pointing out that $5,000 a month is a pretty good salary, given she's likely not going to report it as income, and it is on top of whatever her sister earns. Sister's living the good life. Yes, if she wants to keep the relationship going, this is a good strategy. Though I don't know how I could ever trust someone that would spend $50K, agree not to do it again without talking to me, then the next day send $1,000 behind my back. At this point, she and her sister may be splitting the money for when Opie and her break up, as 99.99% of people would never do this if they wanted their relationship to last. Even if that's not happening, to go to her mom's like that is some sort of power play like she has been wronged. It's just so messed up. That is a massive red flag. If she's taking liberties with money in your joint account to fund the lives of 3 people now, don't you think this will continue in the future? $50,000 is a lot of money. She lied when she said she would stop and then leaves when you call her out on it. Please do yourself a favor and change the locks. Terminate access to your account and get a new girlfriend. You are her cash cow, and she's taking advantage of you. Totally agree. $50K is definitely a lot of money. It's more than some people make annually. She's literally paying them a salary at the liberty of depleting OP's savings. And if your girlfriend's sister cannot get back on her feet on $5K a month, she's not going to get back on her feet. And what about when her parents retire? It's clear that she feels entitled to funding her family's lifestyle so they can live beyond their means. Unlimited access to your bank account before marriage is wild to me, even if she's doing work in the home. I can appreciate your generosity, but again, you are not responsible for funding her sister's family's lifestyle. And imagine how much more entitled she would feel once you were married. You could tell your girlfriend that if she wants to support her sister, she can get a part-time job and send her the whole paycheck. I think part of the issue could be that she's not understanding the value of the money and could be out of touch after not working for a couple years. Perhaps she would feel differently once she realizes how much work it takes to make that money, even though she'd obviously be making less per hour than you, not day whole. Now for the updates. Thank you everyone for the support. I never thought that my situation would blow up to thousands of people. I'll try to answer some questions at best. I make around $150,000 a year as a lead software developer. And as someone who has no kids, dogs, or any major responsibility besides myself and a girlfriend, I never checked my account. She comes from a culture where family is everything and money is just paper. She texted me earlier saying how it should always be family first, and that money doesn't mean anything without family, and how we should help close family like siblings in their time of need. At this point, I told her I needed time to myself, and told her not to come back until I'm ready to talk. I apologized if my sentences aren't making sense, as Whiskey is my only friend right now. I also forgot to mention, we started dating before all this money came into play, so I trusted her. I'm more sad by the betrayal than the money. Money will come back, but time will never come back. 5 whole years. My proposal plan, my life plan, my future kids I dreamt about with her, just gone. All the things we've said to each other, all the late night wine drunk times we spent, all the dates, all the flowers I gave her. I really tried with all my power to be the best man she can have. I would have trusted her with my life. And what do I get back? $5,000 gone. Final update 2 weeks later. She is now my ex. We met at a local coffee shop and I told her that things wouldn't work out for us. And she went absolutely ballistic. She caused a scene begging me to not end it. It did hurt me to see her like this, but after a couple weeks to give it some thought, I would not want a wife who is a liar and one I couldn't trust financially. I left a $100 bill on the table and left, but she followed me down to my car. She begged and told me she wouldn't send any more money to her sister and how she would do anything for us to be together. It was hard, but I stayed strong. She picked up her belongings the other day and I almost had to call the cops because she wouldn't leave. She first tried everything, from favors, begging, crying, then it turned to screaming that I ruined her life, to even saying that without her I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now because of her support. I stayed strong, and when she left, I just broke down sobbing. For those wondering, I'm not gonna press charges because all I want is for her to leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with her. I don't ever want to see her face again. The money will come back as it's just me, a house, and 2 paid-off cars. It does get lonely, so I'm thinking of getting a puppy, a Doberman for those wondering. Thank you everyone for all the suggestions, and a lot of you really had me thinking about my decisions, and I definitely learned a lot of valuable lessons. Goodbye and thank you. Diapers, sure, maybe even daycare. That's a big expense and that can really help out a young mother. But $5,000 a month? No, that's a full-time job worth of pay. Girl gave away a third of his yearly income in less than 10 months. That is twice as much as I'm making a month with a full-time job. That goes above and beyond helping with the necessities. That is bankrolling someone's entire life. I have a feeling that OP's ex-girlfriend is more worried about how she's going to explain to her sister that there are no more handouts coming than her relationship coming to an end. Maybe she's also worried about how her life is no longer filled with that meaningless paper and she will have to get a job while living with less. Seems like she got used to living that lifestyle and can't go back. I doubt she can rely on her sister to pay back the favor. A smaller joint account would have been good at this time, or more money in investments. She lost the golden goose, which is giving her more mercenary motives in the relationship. I genuinely think she's maybe a pushover or can't say no type of person to be guilt-tripped. And like I said in another comment, it's easier to spend the money when it wasn't you who had to work for it. Lol, sure, money's just paper when you're not the one earning it. It must be nice to be so fast and loose with someone else's money. Glad he found everything out and dropped her. I luckily had this demonstrated to me when I was still young. A girl I met at uni, she lived for free in a nice house owned by her family friends, worked hospitality jobs, and would just move jobs when she got bored. We went out as friends every week, and I ended up paying for movies, coffees, etc. One day, we got into the topic of money and she said, "You care too much about money." I disagreed, and we went back and forth till I dropped the subject. The next time I saw her, she wanted to see a movie and I agreed. I paid for my ticket and stepped aside as the attendant asked her to pay for hers. She was stunned for a moment and had to dig through her bag for her card to pay. We didn't go out after that. Knew a girl at uni like that. Insanely naive, with the ability to just pay for anything she wanted to with a credit card her parents paid off in full. She heard me complaining that I was broke till payday and was utterly incredulous that I had to wait, that my parents just wouldn't give me money unless I was in real trouble, and that I politely turned down her offer to get me what I needed. She was trying to be kind, but it was just so scary how little she considered the cost of anything. I had a similar girl at work who asked why I took the bus instead of buying a car. I came to find out her parents paid for insurance, fuel, registration. She didn't even know what this was and paid for half the initial sale price. No wonder she thought it was such a simple solution. Last story. Am I the a-hole for basically telling my brother that I don't blame his girlfriend for leaving him? My 32 female brother, 34, had been dating 32-year-old Jane for like 10 or 11 years. In the beginning, the whole family absolutely adored her, but over time, like maybe 3 years ago, Jane became kind of witchy and distant, and none of us understood why. She wouldn't answer us when we asked, so we admittedly kind of just avoided her honestly. She blocked everyone off everything, stopped going to family events, etc. I know I personally started really hating her for personal reasons, as the only person she ever acknowledged was my husband and she was flirty, and it didn't sit well with me. However, my brother shows up here completely tanked last night, saying Jane left him. During his visit, he started opening up on the why aspect and informed me that when Jane was like 23, she expressed wanting to get married and wanted to have babies and whatnot. Something none of us knew, as we thought they were child-free by choice, as that's what my brother told all of us. He said to me that he told her that if she loved him, she would wait until he got his stuff together. So she apparently waited around for years, just waiting on him, before he finally told her last week that he didn't want kids or to get married, and that he was comfortable with the life he has currently. So she left. He expressed that around the time that she started acting really bad to the rest of the family was because during that time I was pregnant and she couldn't stand being around me. He also very bluntly said she wanted your husband and talked about him all the time because she knew he wanted kids and I was holding out. And he had apparently been the reason she blocked all of us because of her comments about my husband. But looking back now, it makes a lot of sense. Anyways, at the end of the conversation, I said that I can understand why she left. I told him I understand him as well, and his reasoning behind not wanting kids or marriage. But if it was that important to her, I can totally see why she left. Especially where he made a promise of when I get my stuff together, just to tell her years later that he basically lied and never wanted kids or marriage. So she probably feels like he wasted her time. I made a point to tell him I understood both sides, but he chalked this up to me agreeing with Jane and said that women shouldn't always stick together, you know. I'm your freaking family. And Jane left the love we had behind over potential kids and a piece of paper. That wasn't what I was trying to say, but regardless, my husband did tell me later on that I should have just not said what I said, regardless of how true it was. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She wanted children, and he didn't, so she left. Frankly, he wasted a decade of her time. I feel bad for her. Not just wasted her time, but very possibly took away her opportunity to have kids at all. At 32, she's on a tight timeline to date around, meet someone great, and mutually decide to have kids together. Poor woman. Yeah, they had a fundamental incompatibility and she left to pursue someone else. All in all, this was honestly the best outcome he could have expected to receive under the circumstances. And he should be grateful she respected him enough to just leave, instead of trying to force the relationship to proceed on her terms through duplicitous means like he did. Not a-hole, and I'm saying this as a married child-free guy. If one person wants kids and the other doesn't, they're fundamentally incompatible, and your brother wasted good years of his life by stringing this poor woman along. And not to trot out this line, but if he changes his mind and suddenly wants to have kids, he will always be able to do that. He could turn around at 45 or 50, hook up with a younger woman and have kids. There are men in their 70s who are fathers to newborns. Barring an accident or a disease, men will always have time. Women don't have that luxury. If you want kids, losing 10 years is a huge deal. Actually, men also don't have much time. The older a man gets, the more risk is there that the child won't be healthy or will have problems. Also, the women who will bear that embryo will also take health risk from that. So yeah, men and women have a biological clock. Not the whole. Your brother knew he wasn't keen on marriage and kids. He knew Jane was. He intentionally led her on with lies suggestion he would want those things in the near future once his act was together. And when he figured he'd led her long enough that she would fall victim to sunk cost fallacy, he dropped the bomb that he would never be willing to give her the relationship and family of her goals. Your brother doesn't suck for not wanting those things, but he sucks so hard for leading Jane on, and then acting like he's the one with any right to be hurt. And your husband sucks for butting in and suggesting you pretend to side with your a-hole brother just to keep some semblance of peace. Jane doesn't deserve that, even if you'll never see her again.